Hello and welcome to Coping with Donald. I'm Phil. I wonder if everybody's heard about this. This happened in Minnesota yesterday. Right now, by the way, today is January 19th. Um, this is very disturbing. Yesterday, there was a church service going on, or a ministry. Not a Catholic church, but a Christian ministry. Um, in what looked to be a pretty nice place. um, for religious services, and people came in and started protesting, and they were protesting. Excuse me for that little jump. They were protesting ICE, but they weren't just protesting ICE inside the church for no reason, which would be ridiculous and they shouldn't do it. Even though ICE goes into schools and hospitals, okay, and things like that. But they shouldn't disturb that. But there was a reason why they were there. First of all, let me just say, I saw I don't know. I glanced at it on the TV, and it looked like they had 8 or 10 of the people. They have like 8 or 10 pastors. That must be a big place. That's an awful lot of pastors. But these guys had a lot in common. They were all guys that I saw. And like I said, I might have missed the top row or something. They were all guys. They were all like between the ages of like 25 and I would say 50, but maybe even 45. And they were all smiling, and they were all white. And my first thought was to say, everybody complains about DEI. Oh, yeah, you're taking jobs away from white guys. So you're telling me the only people that can worship Christ in that church and be a pastor has to be white and male. Okay, whatever. So apparently, one of their pastors works for ICE. Now think about what ICE is doing right now in Minnesota. And one of their pastors works for ICE. He was on stage with Kristi Noem. And Don Lemon was there, so this must have been like one of those things that, who's that guy now? I can't think of his name, but he was like uncovered the whole Minnesota fraud thing with daycare or something like that. Anyway, he must be like that. Must use those kind of tactics. But the pastor that they were speaking to was obviously very uncomfortable, and he was trying to get away from Don Lemon, but he kept saying, "Oh, we're only here to worship Jesus. We're only here to praise Jesus." Well, there's at least one guy who runs this ministry who does something other than praise Jesus. As a matter of fact, I would think that the ICE job would be his main job. Did they, are they like putting ICE workers in churches to see how many minorities go there? What is going on, folks? And it all gets back to the fake Christian stuff. There's no way, buddy. Knowing what you know in Minnesota, knowing what you know, there is no way, knowing what you've seen, there is no way that you can be sincere about praising Jesus and be a member of ICE. He was one of the directors of ICE in the area or something. He's got a big spot to be up there with Kristi Noem. I'm just telling you right now, and usually I want to hear the other opinions, but I don't even think you can have another opinion. There is no way that Jesus would come down here and say, "Hey, ICE agents, you're all going to heaven." Okay? Hey. Just Jesus saying "a" is kind of disturbing, I suppose. But there's no way it would happen. What kind of a hypocrite do you have to be? I don't think he's a hypocrite. I think he's an ICE agent who's undercover in this church or something. But just if you're in ICE, you've got answers. You've got to come up with answers for the day that supposedly you're gonna either get into through the pearly gates or not. Okay? It's that simple. You're not going through the pearly gates. And you're not shooting your way in either, okay? You are, if there is a hell, that's where you're going. Oh my God. Jesus wants you to treat immigrants this way. God, help us. And that's, as I've said before, this is actually stuff like this is what, every time I try to build faith, stuff like this crushes it. Because I tell myself, there's no way Jesus would allow this. He would come down right now. He's not waiting, or he's busy, or he's getting a haircut or something. He would come down right now and stop this. But he doesn't. And that's what makes me doubt. And to see this guy, he actually, the camera didn't show him, so I don't even know if he was there that day. He's got to be pretty busy in Minnesota right now. And I really do believe in doxing these people, including all the ICE agents. Because I'm going to tell you, especially if I was a Latino, but, or, or say an African, or a Latino, or anybody else who gets targeted by these people. If I had a family member who was part of this, I would want to know. I would want to know what my relative thinks of me. Okay? And his own, in essence, his own whole family, his whole clan of people from his country. I'd want to know that. I mean, we've heard it from a lot of Cuban people. They're brave enough to come out and say, "Oh yeah, my son's here. You can send them back. I don't care. I love Donald Trump." All right? At least they show their face and they're on camera. So kudos to them. The ICE workers have to show everybody around. Maybe they're only surrounded by other Trumpers. So maybe the people that would have nothing to lose anyway. But the Hispanics behind the masks, the women behind the masks, I would really love everybody that knows them to know what they are. And I don't even mean who they are, what they are. All right? Come on, Jesus, come and fix this up. This has been Coping with Donald. I'm Phil. Have a good Monday.